Well, there's a guitar that to me is like the private selection. It's like the cigars that the cigar growers smoke themselves. This was made for myself, and to the fact that, you know, one of these years I'll lacquer the neck. And but this is a guitar. We're going to talk about a little music thing that I play with my friend Larry Everhart, and I play this guitar. And you guys are interested in gear, and I think this is very important to that, because this is a guitar that barks out a little more in the high notes, more like an old Gibson guitar that it's styled after. And when I have to plug in and use a pickup, then I do that with a different guitar. But this guitar speaks out into a microphone much better than well, even the guitar that I had a few minutes ago. It's more brash, and I wasn't trying to be a smart aleck when I said I get the wood from trees. I had the emerald ash borers chew up a tree in the backyard until it fell down on its own accord, and had some friends saw it up, and we noticed that the wood was a little bit curly, and you won't be able to see that, I don't believe, in this. You might see a little cross pattern, but when it's stained, then you'll see it takes the stain differently and looks a little bit more like a classic old Gibson Nick Lucas that was modeled after. So we can, if you want, you could call this the Lick Mucus rendition of the Nick Lucas. Whatever, and it's just kind of styled after that. I even had a fellow contact me by email and ask me what kind of pickup I had in this guitar. And I had to say, "Yo, Bob, that was just the sound of the guitar making it in the microphone like people used to do back in the old days." And by old days, I mean like back in the 60s. And you'd see a classic concert footage from back then, and the guitar sounded great. Guitar has a lot of sustain that way, so when you hear this, you know, you hear that vibrato continue on. Like similar, just like that. I play an awful lot of guitars with it, but that would be lost on it. Those effects would be muted and, you know, not really there. I went to my book, The Fabulous Flat Tops, Gibson Fabulous Flat Tops, and I opened it up, and I thought, well, you know, I want one of those little things. And yeah, and then I started looking around remnants of parts, and how can I have it look like that, and how did they wrap the plastic around and join it, and you know, they just did it with a funky joint like this to let it sit out there in front of everybody. And because you notice one thing, with the cool thing about the Gibson guitars is you often get 360 degrees of the sound hole decoration, rather than most guitars we see this come over and cover up most of it, and you get that effect. So I really like that, and I really like the fact that, you know, there's one less fret, so you just got this little bit of area up there. You don't need be thinking about any kind of cutaway or something like that. There's more room in here because there is one less fret as part of it. So that is it in a nutshell. I mean, I want to build a guitar. I opened up like that. I opened up that book and said, well, let's go through the plastic scrap bin and see what I have. It's dyed with aniline dyes mostly. There might be a little bit of a pigmented color on the outside. I don't remember. But it's mostly hand dyed. And it's just kind of rubbed around and stuff like that. rather than some of the shading you see on modern guitars, which is the color would be in the spray, and you go through and it would tend to look much more stripy and whatever. This is much more blended, and it also helped to bring out what the little bit of curl that is in that ash wood.